Good morning, Winter Haven, and welcome to the State of the State, County, and City. My name is Katie Worthington Decker, President and CEO of the Greater Winter Haven Chamber of Commerce, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's event. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Our presenting sponsor is Bank of Central Florida, and they will also serve as our MCs for today's event. I'd also like to recognize our supporting sponsor, 610 LLC, for their continued investment in the Winter Haven community, in our downtown core, and always pushing us to take it to the next level. I'd also like to recognize Tampa Electric Company. They are an integral part of this event today, as well as the economic development of our community.
There are those who dwell in the past and those who dream of the future. And then there are those who live in the present, who pull from their experience to challenge the status quo, who navigate the waters of "it's always been done this way," those who launch their ideas from imagination to reality. Your business lives in the present. You know where you want to go. We know how to get you there.
Welcome to the virtual stage, Carmen Rich, Vice President and Private Banking Officer with Bank of Central Florida, to introduce our next speakers. Carmen?
Thank you, Katie. Good morning. As Katie said, I'm Carmen Rich, private banker with Bank of Central Florida. I take a great amount of pride in helping my clients meet their financial goals. And as past chair of Main Street Winter Haven, current member of Leadership Winter Haven Class of 40, and my family owning several businesses here in Winter Haven, I feel I have a strong connection with the community and its needs. That is why I'm honored to introduce our next speaker from Polk County government and learn about the future of the county as a whole. Please join me in welcoming County Commissioner Martha Santiago and County Manager Bill Beasley to the call. Commissioner Santiago.
And thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you for inviting Bill and me to be here today. We are in awe of the work that the county, the city of Winter Haven, and the Winter Haven Chamber of Commerce continue to do to unite the leaders in the community to improve the quality of life for the residents. It is an honor to be your county commissioner, and I appreciate the privilege to serve you today. Today, I can say with confidence, the state of Polk County is good. Now, that is not to say that we aren't facing challenges that must be addressed to ensure Polk County continues to be the best that it can be and also stays healthy. Our challenges pretty much mirror issues that are causing anxiety nationally and statewide. But with our communities coming together, Polk County is weathering the storm pretty well. Our economy is slowly recovering. Unemployment continues to decline and doors remain open for business. Additionally, home values are still climbing, interest rates are low, and our roads are filled with cars again. Polk's rapid growth and urbanization certainly brings many challenges. On a daily basis, the County Commission faces more conflict among different land uses. You probably have already read about these in the paper. Providing infrastructure to support economic development for high-wage jobs and providing the desired quality of life for our residents, and providing essential public services like water, law enforcement, and fire rescue. I firmly believe we have the assets, the private, public, and nonprofits sector leadership with the support of our citizens to make Polk County's future even brighter. Polk County's partnership with the municipalities, healthcare providers, and businesses leaders have been stronger. Speaking about our partnerships, our board was so disappointed when we had to cancel Polk County Day in Tallahassee for this year due to the pandemic. It is an event where we look forward to working with you and celebrating our successes with our legislative delegation. One of our greatest strengths is that we all work well together. Our hope is that by the next legislative session, January 2022, the pandemic will be way behind us so that we can come together again. I am optimistic that Polk County is prepared to find solutions to the challenges ahead of us. Mr. Beasley is going to talk about some of those challenges, and I look forward to hearing your comments and questions when he's finished. Thank you, Winter Haven, for your role in making Polk County the best that it can be for our citizens, for everybody. Mr. Beasley?
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago, and good morning, folks, and thanks again for the opportunity to share some of the thoughts, feelings, insights as to the vision that I feel the county's moving into the future with. Let me say thanks to Dr. Parrish. I think some of his comments were extremely insightful, and I think dovetail nicely into some of the thought process that I think is going on through county government today. You know, it's a little hard when I talk to groups about the state of the county. It's hard not to include elements of public health and public education. I normally run in a pack together when we do these types of things. And I'm not here to speak about the state of public health or public education in Polk County today. But what I do feel comfortable at saying is that I think those agencies are moving forward in a very progressive way. I think they've got a very positive insight into what's happening in our community and what they're doing about those things and those needs in our community, and that I think their governance is in good hands. So public health, public education, I give a real strong check to, and I know they're working on things every day, all day, and well into the future. Specific to Polk County government, what I'm going to share with you today is things I think you have heard certainly in the recent past, and things I think that even my cousins in city government that you will probably hear a little bit from some of the Winter Haven staff today. It's a topic that's facing many governments across the state of Florida, both at the state level, the county level, and the municipal level. And it really centers around growth and how to manage that growth. And before I talk a little bit about some of those challenges and some of the things I think Polk County is doing to deal with the growth challenges, let me take you back 1 year ago. In February of 2020, mid-February of 2020, the County Commission had their annual retreat. And we were hitting on all 8 cylinders. The local economy was pumping. We had about 7 or 8 consecutive years of ad valorem growth. The board was expanding programs. The board was funding infrastructure. The board was really being very progressive about the vision that they had. And so we were expanding the county employment levels in terms of adding more people to the payroll. A lot of good things. We felt really good coming out of our February retreat last year. 30 days later, everything came to kind of a halt. And that's when COVID started showing up. And part of me wants to say the rest is history, but I still think we're writing that book. In late April of last year, the county received $126 million in federal aid associated with the COVID-19 virus. And with that came 2 pages of general guidance. The bottom line is we had until December the 30th of 2020 to spend every penny of that money. Anything not spent was going to go back to the federal government. And we knew that we weren't going to send anything back to the federal government. The county put in place a number of programs and practices to push that money into the community as fast as we could. That was the board's priority. And I'll tell you today that we spent, when I say spent, cash out the door. The county, by December the 30th of this past year, the county spent $123 million. And we touched a lot of people. We touched individuals who had needs. We touched seniors. We touched those who were disabled. We touched small businesses. We touched chambers, local nonprofits, public school systems, hospitals, our community partners in the 3 large hospitals, and needs that we could support local governments' impact to COVID. So I think the board feels that we did a pretty good job at pushing that money into the community for the reasons exactly why the federal government appropriated that money to us. As much as I hate to say it, I think that 2021 is going to begin much like 2020 ended. The virus is still here. It's still a clear and present danger. The vaccine is now here. And we stand in support of the state's local initiatives to support the health department in any way we can to push that vaccine. I'm not here. I think next year at this time, we'll know a lot more about how the vaccine program ultimately rolled out, what programs still exist and so forth. So, stay tuned for the vaccine side. But I think we've got a pretty good program that's been implemented relative to the COVID virus. And from Polk County's perspective, I would say what we did here was short of phenomenal, working with our community partners, our municipal partners, specifically the medical community. Baycare, hats off to Baycare support for everything the county's been doing, Lakeland Regional and Advent. So job well done. Let's talk a little bit about where I think Polk is headed. And it all centers around growth management. What I would tell you is we're headed wherever growth is going to take us. And growth will continue, I think, to drive many, many issues in local government, probably as well as state government. Talk about the 2020 census. Dr. Parrish mentioned that a short while ago. But while we have not seen Polk's numbers yet, I think we're expected to see those in the March-April timeframe. But I believe Polk is going to come in somewhere around that 725,000, 750,000 folks as of the 2020 census. We believe that by 2040, we're looking at somewhere around 1 million people in Polk County. And to put that in some context, we know that in Polk County, the highest growth sector is where we call the Northeast sector. And to me, that is roughly around Haines City, down that 27 corridor up to the Lake County line. That area, that Haines City, Davenport area, up through the I-427 corridor, that is a huge growth corridor. Given the population that exists there today, what we anticipate being there in 2040 would be equivalent to taking the entire population of the city of Lakeland, about 115, 118,000 people, and putting them on top of what exists in that area today. The optic is kind of nuts when you think about that many more people being in an area that's already congested today. So growth is here and we're having to deal with it. One of the things that we believe that it's going to continue and maybe even start to accelerate is the land use conflicts that come with growth. I think the constituents are starting to express opinions about growth, whether it's compatible with surrounding areas, whether there's an appropriate density, whether there's adequate buffers or transition zones. And I think one of the big challenges moving forward, not just for county government, but for municipal governments is finding that balance. Where is the balance or the sweet spot in terms of where growth should occur, when growth should occur, and what should that growth look like? That's a never-ending challenge for local governments. And I'm not sure how you best solve that, but probably on a case-by-case basis, but it's real. As a byproduct of growth, one of the main challenges becomes public safety and providing public safety in your community. And I'll tell you that in Polk County, public safety is priority number one. It has been with past board, it is with the current board, and I believe it will be with future boards. There is no higher priority in this county than the health and safety of our citizens, residents, our visitors. This board, past boards, and I believe future boards will find a way to fund the necessary basic operational and infrastructure needs of our public safety components, that being the Polk County Sheriff's Office, the Polk County Fire Rescue Division, the Polk County Emergency Management Group. All of those are integral to the board's commitment to priority number one being public safety in Polk County. And there are large initiatives associated with that. There are large numbers of employees. There are specialty type employees. Law enforcement is a very competitive field, certainly within Central Florida. Finding qualified paramedics and retaining qualified paramedics. All the infrastructure that goes with supporting those types of operations, a big challenge, but one I think the board is committed to. Another kind of byproduct of the growth is transportation infrastructure. And what I'll tell you that, and it may sound small in the broad context, but it's a huge challenge. Polk County has what I would call 5 major local road projects. Those 5 projects consist of County Road 557, which is from Lake Alfred to I-4. The Pipkin Road widening project, which is from State Road 37 to County Line Road. The Lake Wilson Road, which is off of County Road 54, the Ronald Reagan Parkway, up to the Osceola County line, County Road 532. And then you have the Marigold Cypress Parkway project, which is in the Poinciana community. Those 5 projects are fully funded by the county, local dollars only, and total about $250 million just between 5 roadway projects. I'm optimistic that 2 of those 5 projects will start construction this calendar year, and the other 3 will start construction sometime in 2022. My point there is that the county has a limited amount of resources, financial resources, with which to address a growing need of infrastructure requirements within that address our transportation and roadside drainage program. Even funding 5 projects at $250 million leaves me with dozens of unfunded projects that total about $1 billion just in local roads at local needs. So my challenge is how do we move the needle at the local level with executing more projects in a timely manner with limited financial resources? I can tell you the board is scheduled to have their annual retreat about the 18th of February. This issue, this topic will be a number 1 priority to discuss with the board. Let me tell you a little bit about some regional roadway projects that are either within Polk or adjacent to Polk that I think some of which are going to be game changers in the future. You've all heard about the Central Polk Parkway project. Well, that's a project that will come off. Phases 1 and 2 are essentially funded projects by the Florida Turnpike Enterprise. That will come off of the Polk Parkway at around Thornhill Road, come over to just south of the Bartow Air Base on 17, and then go over to 60. With those 2 legs being funded, I think that sets some momentum moving into the next phases of the Central Polk Parkway. I think the goal, and it could be a 20-year goal, is to ultimately move down 60 to east of Lake Wales to start a northern leg of the Central Polk Parkway that ultimately will tie into the Poinciana Parkway and ultimately into, I believe, Toll Road 429. One of the second projects that I touched on just a second ago, the Poinciana Parkway. The Poinciana Parkway project being managed by the Florida Turnpike Enterprise, the first piece of that's already constructed. It comes out of Poinciana, goes through the Reedy Creek, and intersects with County Road 54, the Ronald Reagan Parkway. The next phase of the Poinciana Parkway will start in that area coming out of Reedy Creek and go over through the Laufman area of Polk County and move into Osceola County, where it will intersect with Osceola County Road 532. Ultimately, their goal is to take the Poinciana Parkway into Toll Road 429. Another project that's coming out of that, you've heard of it, it's been part of these MCORS discussions that occurred multiple times over the last year. This is the Southwest Central Florida Connector Project. This is a potential large toll road corridor that would come out of Collier County, Charlotte County, DeSoto County, Hardy County, into the back door of Polk County. Now, where and when that project ultimately, the fate of that project, but I think that in the fact that it's being discussed, the fact that if you look at how it could connect into State Road 60 and be a feeder into ultimately the Central Polk Parkway, there seems to be a lot of logic in getting folks a major corridor through Central Florida, the southern portions of Central Florida, and getting it to Polk where you can split and either go up a Central Polk Parkway up to 420, 429, or go west and tie into the Polk Parkway where you can go to I-4 and 75. So I think a lot of long-term visionary futuristic logic there. When and how that ever materializes, I don't know, but I think that in our future, there's some game-changing possibilities. The last regional project I'll mention to you is the state's Northeast Polk and US 27 mobility corridor. Everybody realizes 27 is a hard road to navigate at times, certainly portions of it within Polk County. This is a state initiative to look at feeder roads off of 27, parallel roads around 27. What can the state do to ease congestion on 27? That's been a growing topic. It's not going to change as growth continues to occur. The last thing I'll mention to you on the transportation side of our future is I think you're going to continue to hear more and more about passenger rail services within Polk County. Sunrail, for example, is already at the outskirts of the Poinciana community within Osceola and Orange County. The question becomes is should or when or if will Sunrail move into possibly a leg within the Haines City, the Auburndale, Winter Haven corridors? I think that possibility exists. Not sure when or where that could happen, but I wanted you all to be aware that there is discussions about Sunrail moving into Polk County. Brightline is another rail type of initiative that already exists in South Florida on the East Coast from those communities, and there is plans to move that to the Orlando Disney area. I think it would be travel along the existing right-of-way of Toll Road 528, but there are plans to build an extension of the Brightline rail service into the Orlando attractions area. The logical question becomes if and when there should be discussions about moving a rail line through Polk County into Tampa, probably within the I-4 corridor. And if that is to come, where will there be stop or stops within Polk County? Again, I just think just the concept of rail, passenger rail within Polk County, I think that's a futuristic topic, but I think that time is now to start talking about that. And I do believe our future holds real strong possibilities for that. Another spinoff or a kind of derivative of the impacts of growth is public water supplies. Look, the science is telling us that the existing drinking water sources that supply our communities, those water supplies cannot be sustained given the demands being placed on them. The formation of the Polk Regional Water Cooperative several years ago was an absolute game changer for Polk County. It said a lot to us locally that a number of communities could come together and have a common cause and figure out a common solution or solutions. And it spoke volumes to the state regulators who manage the water resources and regulate the water resources. And it spoke volumes to the state legislature about Polk's seriousness to get organized about our future when it comes to that resource. What I'll tell you is that water is critical in this county, and failure is not an option for the Regional Water Co-op. Again, I think our board is going to be discussing this at length in the near future about what Polk County's direct role will be and what leadership role we think we can take with certain project initiatives. But I'll tell you that the need for water is critical, and that out of this will come large capital projects, both in scope, complexity, and cost. And it will have an effect on local rate structures within the municipalities that participate in those projects. I think that some of the growing pains with the Regional Water Co-op are to be expected, but that group is certainly able and up to the task. And I think that you will hear a lot of good things that ultimately come out of the Regional Water Co-op's decisions. Two other growing issues that have been, I think, on the back burners in Polk County, one of which is behavioral health. I really believe that behavioral health encompasses things like substance abuse, mental health, developmental disabilities, a whole cadre of issues under that umbrella of behavioral health. I think we're finding that it's affecting all walks of life in our society, seniors, middle-aged, young adults, the very young. I think that the day is coming when we have to develop a strategy that's a public-private strategy, I believe. We have to work with we're going to have to work with our medical partners. We're going to have to work with state legislators. We're going to have to do a number of things that I think are going to move the needle on behavioral health. We're working with our partner Polk Vision now. They're doing kind of a comprehensive overview of what is the status of behavioral health issues in Polk County today. So I think that's a growing topic you're going to hear more of. The last topic that I really want to touch on is affordable housing. You know, I'm asking myself, in Polk County, is the American dream becoming unattainable at this time? I don't know the answer to that, but I know you all know that when you look at what is the cost of home ownership, and how does that become affordable for those who are in the lower income range of their lives? I think this is going to be a growing topic of discussion, whether it's a combination of local governments looking at their land development codes, their comprehensive plans, whether there's state funding, local funding associated with down payment assistance, whether there's tax credits to developers, any and all of those things that would represent a public-private partnership. I think affordable housing in Polk County is going to be a growing topic of interest and need, and our board is going to be discussing some of those things in the near future. The last thing I want to leave with you is in closing is let me just tell you that I think Polk continues to grow, and we will continue to experience the community demands associated with that growth. I do think resources are limited, so strategic planning and partnerships are going to be more important than ever. I believe that collectively we can develop a realistic vision that is attainable. And probably most importantly, what I'll tell you is that Polk is a very resilient community. I think it's filled with a lot of caring people who have a strong sense of community pride and optimism. I echo Commissioner Santiago's statements. Despite what COVID has done to us, this is a resilient community that's bouncing back. We're growing. You're seeing it around us. And it's a good time to be in Polk County. So I'll stand for any questions or any subsequent phone calls you may want to bounce off of me later in the day.
Great. Thank you so much, County Manager and Commissioner Santiago, for a lot of good news and a lot of cautious optimism as we move forward to the future. So we are very blessed in Polk County to have a pro-business, pro-quality of life county commission, and also one that is very transparent about the challenges moving forward. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you know so much about what's going on in the community? And I say, I watch on Facebook every time the county commission meets, and I listen and I hear their thoughtful discussion about developments that have been going on. And do want to thank you for calling out the MCORS committee as well. 3 people on the call, I went through the panelist list, served on that committee, Dr. Falconetti and Mayor Pro Tem Birdsong and myself, and of course, Commissioner Wilson served on that committee. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. But beyond that, so many transportation projects going on. One question I do have for you, and a question that we get very often, is with Winter Haven, and our city limits are very interesting in terms of how they're drawn, and you can live across the street from the city. And so there are developments that go before the county commission, and then there are developments that go before the city commission. And then, of course, the school board reviews developments in terms of their concurrency and availability within that. As you move forward in your workshop and your kind of strategic planning in February, what are your thoughts on how the municipalities and the county can collaborate more to make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to the future growth and what we like to call smart growth of our county as a whole?
Katie, it's a great question. What I believe, I know for a fact that a routine course of the day, the planning staffs at the municipal level, the county level, and say the school board level, I know they know each other on a professional basis. Some may know each other on a personal basis, a friendship basis. I do think that the jurisdictions talk on a regular basis. I think that we have some creative minds within the various organizations, and they will find a way to balance out some uniform way to address those growth patterns that seem to be crossing jurisdictions. I think Polk is better today than we were 4 or 5 years ago when it comes to managing rules and regulations. I think we better understand that the health of the county is directly related to the health and growth of the municipalities. So as municipalities grow and extend their boundaries into the unincorporated areas, we are much more sensitive to how they are required to deliver services in terms of annexing areas, and how we must be able to be flexible and react to that. I don't have a silver bullet. I'm not sure the total package, but I would say that we're smarter today than we were 5 years ago. And I think we still find areas of not conflict, but areas of challenge. And we talk to them on a regular basis about how to resolve that in terms of who's going to provide certain services to that area. But I think we're better at it than a lot across the state. I would tell you, I think the development community has no problems working with Polk and the municipalities here as opposed to other jurisdictions across the state for that reason. So it's a work in progress. It's getting better.
Katie, may I interject?
Of course.
During the last mayor's roundtable that we had in Polk County, one of the things that I noticed as they were talking was a desire to come together and work together to be able to tackle some of the problems that you mentioned. Not only that, but some of the other challenges that we're having. So I think that's the first step that needs to happen, that there is a desire for the cities to come together and start talking about these challenges that are taking place. Because we've got to realize that, yes, we do have municipalities, but we're also one county. So we've got to, I think for the first time, and it's like Bill said, we're better off than we were 5 years ago. We're at a point now that we're all recognizing we need to all come together and work towards those challenges. Because when we help each other, we become one county, one strong county. So I'm very optimistic by what I heard with the mayors, and I hope that conversation continues to happen, not only once a year, but more often, so that we can deal with these challenges that come our way.